not spending $200. It's just $50 every fortnight.
And it's nice to not see like a big chunk of money come out of your bank account.
Now, Klarna wants to be known as more than a place for buy now, pay later. They're expanding, launching a new card, getting into mobile phone plans. Company now worth more than $16 billion.
You've probably seen it. That little pink button that says
Buy now, pay later.
it feels harmless. You split your payments, no interest, no fees, just a smarter way to shop, right? But what if this simple button isn't just changing how we pay, it's changing how much we spend? This is the story of how Klarna and the entire buy now, pay later revolution quietly rewired our brains, our wallets, and maybe even the future of money itself. The story begins in Stockholm, Sweden in 2005. Three entrepreneurs, Sebastian Siemiatkowski, Nicholas Adelberth, Victor Jacobson, saw a gap. Online shopping was growing rapidly, but the payment side was still stuck in the past. Upfront payment, complicated checkout, friction. Their big idea, make paying later just as easy or easier than paying now. Rather than asking the customer to pay everything immediately, Klarna said, "We'll pay the merchant now, you pay us later." They provided options, pay in 30 days or split the cost into 4 interest-free installments. From the standpoint of a retailer, this was gold. Fewer abandoned carts, higher conversion. From the consumer's side, it felt like freedom. You order now, you enjoy now, worry later. The friction goes away. Growth skyrocketed. By 2021, Klarna had become Europe's most valuable startup, worth over $45 billion, used by over 150 million people across 45 countries. This success wasn't luck. It was the convergence of e-commerce growth plus frictionless payments, plus a brand that positioned itself as modern, fun, even playful, rather than a scary lender. They sold convenience and new age cool. But the real shift here is deeper than branding. Behind the pastel interface and cheeky marketing lies a fundamental change in how we think about money, spending, and payment. Why exactly is that pink button so powerful? Because it hacks how our brain treats payments and rewards. The friction of paying. In traditional shopping, especially cash, there's a real moment of pain. You hand over cash, you feel the weight of it leaving your wallet. That little bit of friction, will I spend this? Should I? Acts as a brake on impulse. But when you click pay later, you erase that brake. The purchase and the reward, the item arriving, the satisfaction, happen now. The cost appears later. Your brain sees the reward and barely registers the cost. This is called temporal discounting. We value future costs and benefits less than present ones. In other words, future pain is discounted. Ownership, mental accounting, and invisibility. Beyond temporal discounting, there's also the idea of payment pain and mental accounting. When the payment is abstract, the ownership of incurred debt feels fuzzy. Some research shows BNPL users perceive their debt differently, almost like they're paying with free money or a budgeting tool rather than actual money owed. A 2024 study found that BNPL adoption led to a 6.42% increase in average spending by users compared to non-users. Another large-scale experiment by Harvard Business Review researchers found clear evidence that BNPL changes consumer behavior. Delayed payment options increase purchase likelihood, order sizes, and spending. The fun finance experience. Klarna and other BNPL services lean into this psychology with design. Minimal friction, quick approval, playful UX, pastel colors, friendly language like shop now, pay later, or slice it. All of this reduces the finance feel, which usually triggers caution, and increases the instant reward feel. As one observer put it, BNPL isn't just about financial convenience. It's about reimagining the psychological contract between consumers and their purchases. In short, by reducing pain, hiding cost, delaying that cost, the pink button makes spending feel lighter, and we spend more. If all of this sounds too good to be true, it is, because someone is paying for the free offer. Let's unpack how Klarna actually makes business work. Merchant fees. At the core, when you choose to pay via Klarna, the retailer pays a fee. Typical merchant take rate is in the range approximately 3% to 6% of the transaction value. For example, one business model summary shows Klarna's average take rate at about 2.7% across $105 billion in GMV in 2024. Why do merchants accept this? Because Klarna brings increased conversion, higher order value, more frequent repeat purchases. The fee becomes a cost of customer acquisition and higher spend. So Klarna isn't charging the consumer, at least not directly, for basic options. They're charging the merchant for enabling you to spend more. Interest, late fees, other revenue streams. While the pay in 4 or pay in 30 days options are generally interest-free if repaid on time for the consumer, Klarna still has additional revenue streams. For longer-term financing, for example, up to 36 months, they may charge interest, sometimes up to approximately 19.99% APR, depending on credit score, etc. Late payment fees. If you miss an installment, fees apply. Those fees effectively mean the consumer ends up paying more. Interchange fees and card product revenues. Klarna has also introduced cards, subscription services, for example Klarna Plus, and other fintech features such as savings, wallets, etc. So although it may appear free as a consumer, the business is monetized via merchants and via consumer fees when things don't go smoothly. The incentives align with spending more. Here's the crux. Since merchants pay Klarna to enable you to spend in this frictionless way, Klarna's incentive is aligned with you spending more. Every time you spend more, the merchant pays more, Klarna expands. From Klarna's standpoint, more spending equals more merchant fees. And from the retail partner's standpoint, enabling BNPL equals higher AOV, more frequent repeat purchases, less cart abandonment. So the free button is part of a system that rewards higher spend, and so the system designs around that. If we pause and look under the sheen, what are the risks? Because when something feels free and easy, it often hides trade-offs, overspending, and increased debt. As noted earlier, studies show BNPL users spend more. A 2024 empirical study found that those who adopted BNPL spend approximately 6.4% more on average. Another study exploring psychological determinants found that users often saw BNPL as budget management or saving product rather than debt, which adds to the misperception of risk. From a consumer fact sheet, many users admitted to overspending or missing payments. Because BNPL often is extremely easy to qualify for, soft credit checks, minimal friction, someone who might not have gotten a credit card easily can still get multiple BNPL loans. If you stack up multiple BNPL purchases, each with pay later timeframes, the total burden can quietly build up, the invisible cost of free. Because the payment is delayed, the cost becomes less salient. You may see pay in for £25 every 2 weeks, rather than £100 now, which makes the amount easier to accept. Later, when all the installments come due, often in a week you forgot, it can strain the budget. One observer wrote, "The less we understand about what we're paying for something, the more we get unconscious about what we're spending." So the hidden cost is not just interest or fees, it's the psychological cost, the erosion of budget awareness, the creeping of debt, the risk of financial fragility. In 2025, reports show rising delinquency among BNPL users. For example, Klarna reported a 17% rise in credit losses in Q1 2025. Consumer advocates warn that BNPL tends to be used more by younger consumers, minority groups, and those with constrained finances. If someone is juggling multiple BNPL obligations alongside rent, utilities, credit card payments, the increased spending encouraged by BNPL may push them toward fragility. Regulation and safeguards lag. Because BNPL in many jurisdictions sits somewhere between credit and payment, regulation is less robust than for traditional credit cards or loans. Some buy now, pay later transactions may not provide the same consumer protections. In effect, users are being offered credit, deferred payment, but without always the full transparency or safeguards one expects from a loan. So the risk of hidden costs, misunderstandings, or overcommitment is elevated. Klarna is one player, but the BNPL wave is sweeping across fintech, retail, and payments, and the implications are bigger than one company. Competitors and ecosystem. Other major players include Afterpay, Affirm, Apple Pay Later, all fighting for the checkout button. BNPL is becoming a standard feature in many online and offline stores. This isn't just a payment option, it's a checkout strategy, enabling higher conversion, higher baskets, more frequent purchases. Changing how we experience money. Paying with BNPL is a new psychological experience. Money becomes even more abstract, spread over time, separated from the actual act of purchase. This fosters a detachment between buying and paying. This shift means that every step that reduces friction in payment, one-click checkout, mobile wallets, BNPL, also reduces the moment of pause where we think twice. Do I really need this? In a world built for instant gratification, freeze points are being removed. BNPL didn't create our desire for immediacy. It just exploited and amplified it. What this means going forward. For retailers, BNPL is a tool to drive higher spend, but also carries risk, merchant liability, brand reputation, regulatory risk. For fintechs, BNPL is an expanding segment but also increasingly scrutinized for risk, loss rates, regulatory pressure. For consumers, the convenience is real, but so is the risk of spending more, mistracking debt, and being exposed to payment shock later. For the economy, as more spending is deferred, the aggregate liability grows. If even a small percentage of users struggle to repay, defaults may propagate. The structural reliance on deferred payments may raise systemic concerns.
Klarna calls itself smooth shopping, and it is, perhaps almost too smooth, because when money feels frictionless, the line between what we want and what we can afford starts to blur. So next time you click Buy Now, Pay Later, remember, it's not just your order being processed. It's you, your brain, your budget, your future self.